Yeah, we're hoping for more goals on Saturday, but for both Mikel Arteta and Jurgen Klopp, the priority has to be the 3 points to try and push them up the table.
Liverpool and Arsenal are 7th and 9th in the league as it stands and badly need a win to try and keep hopes of European qualification alive. Let's hear from the managers ahead of the game.
I prefer to look at ourselves. What they've done in recent years has been incredible. Obviously, the competition that they were facing with Manchester City has made both teams better. I think they've been pushing each other to a different level that probably we haven't seen in the Premier League. And that's the level that we have to reach to compete with them. If we want to climb on the table and have a chance to be in Europe next season through the Premier League, we need some consistent now in the last 9 games. We need to get a run of winning matches, and the only way to do it is starting against Liverpool. We don't have any margin, and we have to win the game.
The Premier League is a tough league, and if you are not in each second on your absolutely top level, then you get punished. That's we obviously realize that as well. Not only this year, but this year as well. So no, it's a tough one, but should be a tough one for Arsenal as well. That's actually my only intention, to make sure that we will be exactly the opponent Arsenal doesn't want to face this weekend. And for that we have to put a proper fight out there and have to defend on our absolutely top level. If we do that, we have a chance. If not, not.
Well, this should be another great game this weekend. There have been plenty of goals between these two sides in Premier League history over the years. And it feels as though, Karen, even though both of them are outside of the top 6 places as things stand, that it feels like they're almost getting to a point where they've got a bit of a kind of refreshed feel to them as we head into this final part of the season.
And I think it's down to the cup competitions that they're in as well. I think both of them, Arsenal going for Europa and Liverpool actually in the Champions League, and I think that focus has maybe helped them improve their Premier League form because it's just given them a different mindset, and I think that's the reason, really.
Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, 49 Premier League games. Unai Emery's record after 49 league games was better.
Yeah, it was better. Yeah, listen, outstanding minute. Eh? But you're absolutely right, and this is why the start of next season is going to be key for Arteta, because people will want to know how this thing is going. However much we like what he's done, you look at Emery's numbers and they are better. The difference between the two sides is that Arteta has more authority. He's a better communicator, which is a weird thing to say about somebody who speaks several languages, as Emery does. But Arteta is better at kind of giving clarity to the direction of the club. You know what he wants to do. You know he wants to bring in young players. You see with Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli, the other young players, that he wants to build for a future with those players and get more of the older, underachieving players out of the club. The problem is you have to win football matches, as we all know. And I think Arsenal aren't doing enough of those. They were beaten in the Europa League just before the break by Olympiacos.
Those two could meet in the semi-final.
Well, absolutely. And if they were to meet, I would put my money on Liverpool all day long. So,
that's not, that could be a good game.
That could be a good game, couldn't it? I just think that Arsenal, as a football club, they're inconsistent. They've only got 1 clean sheet in their last 13 matches. I think that however well they do up front, at the back, they are porous, they are uncertain, and I think Liverpool will take advantage.
In terms of going forward, though, it's been a kind of revival for Lacazette, hasn't it? And when everything kind of seemed to be falling apart a little bit for Aubameyang, and he had that disciplinary issue a few weeks ago, Lacazette has really stepped up, hasn't he?
He has. He's become that focal point, and I think it helps when you've got players like Saka around you, Smith Rowe, who are the energy and the runners, and he's just in that position. Clinical, set play's been really, really good, as you can see here, but I just think it's his positioning, you know, staying central all the time in between the centre-halves, right place, right time. Like I said, Pepe in this instance in there. You've got the players around him now to put the ball where he needs it to be. He's just got to be at the right place at the right time, and that's what he's doing.
See, there's these things, though, because, I mean, you see the goals that he scored there, dug him out of trouble, but where were they in that last game in particular? 3-0 down to West Ham. Yeah. This is the problem. He's doing fantastic, as you rightly say. He's in his last year. They're talking about whether or not he could get pinched by a foreign club in the summer. But again, his situation encapsulates Arsenal's problem. How do you let a player with those numbers get down to the final year of their contract? The transfer policy at the club is all wrong, and that's another big issue. There are a number of things that are still very, very wrong at Arsenal, and they're almost symbolised by the inconsistent, at times poor performances on the pitch. And that's why I look at some of the confused thinking, and I think that other clubs will continue to take advantage of them.
One massive positive, Kieran Tierney at left back, great reviews midweek, playing for his country as well.
3 assists, didn't he?
Future captain. His performances have been magnificent on the left-hand side.
Bit of banter as well with Robertson, I believe, as well. So a little battle between them, but yeah, he's been a revelation. He plays like a left winger for them, attacking, he's crossing. He's got that bit. I think for Arsenal, my criticism for them has been since the likes of Vieira and the Invincibles, they've never had like someone to put the foot in, a bit of steel, a bit of backbone. He goes in and he doesn't care. He's not afraid to stand up to other players either. He's just strong, and I think Arsenal need those type of players. They've got Partey now. They need those players that are not afraid to put a foot in, as well as be really good technically in possession. And he's brilliant for them. And him and Saka, when they're playing that left-hand side, when Saka comes in, he goes on the overlap. They're really hard to defend against.
Earlier on in the season, when he was out injured, Arsenal really did look like they were lacking that width and someone just bombing forward on that left-hand side, didn't they? And without him there, of course, Saka's been one of the most outstanding Arsenal players this season, but it does look like a different Arsenal team without him in the side.
It does, and that is such a good point. They lack leadership, they lack spine, they lack organisation, and it's quite damning of them, but they are a mid-table side with a few jewels in them. But if they continue to underachieve, other clubs will come along and say, look, come and join us. Tierney included. His numbers are so good since he's arrived at the club, and he's shown himself to be someone who loves hard work. And that's why so many people see him as a potential leader, potential captain. But how many other players follow his lead? The younger players do. The younger players have got an appetite. But some of the senior players, I have to say, and I've seen a lot of Arsenal this season, they've been found wanting.
So 8th last year and won the FA Cup. What is success for Arsenal in these remaining games? OK, winning the Europa, I get that, but that would be quite... They're not going to get in the Champions League places now. What is success for Arteta now?
I know you said about Europa, but that's the only thing they can to define success, because they're not going to get in Europe. They have to win that trophy and try and finish as high as possible.
If they finish 9th and don't win a trophy...
This is Arsenal Football Club. They win trophies. Whether I know you can say, they're always celebrating being in the top 4, but they always won FA Cups. They've got to win Europa. It's standard, and they've got to get into the Champions League through that route. And they're playing Liverpool. I'd rest my players against Liverpool and consolidate.
Would you really?
Yeah, and I'd go for Europe, because that's the bigger picture for Arsenal. And, they've got to progress, but the only way to progress, to get the transfer policy right, to get the players in, is to be in that competition. Otherwise, they'll be in that same place every season, top 10. They need to make a change.
Resting players against Liverpool? Europa League?
In an ideal world, as you rightly say, Kaz, your Arsenal Football Club, you should be able to cope with both competitions. Your players should have that kind of appetite. But they haven't got that, and there aren't enough of the players who relish that fight, so maybe you have to rest some of the better ones for the more important one, because as you asked the question, what's success? Success for Arsenal. After they won the FA Cup, they told us, they said, this season we want the top 4. They've failed in the league, so now they've got to try and get it through the back door.
And looking at that table there, Liverpool just a couple places above Arsenal, and they're 5 points off the top 4, but listening to Jurgen Klopp's comments most recently, he sort of hinted that top 4 wasn't really achievable for the rest of this season, and the focus would potentially just be on the Champions League. Should that be the case, Karen? Surely 5 points isn't too much to make up.
It's not, but I think both of them in the same situation. The competitions that they're going into after this game are more important. I think you're right, but I don't see Chelsea slipping up. I don't see Leicester slipping up. So you kind of eradicate that and you control what you can control. And I think he's got to think about that Champions League game. That's the route in. And it's actually what happened, which kick-started their run a few years ago. They won the Champions League, and then that's what started it. Maybe that's their recycle again.
So this game...
That's the first thing I disagreed with you on today. Sorry, Kaz.
No problem.
Very politely there, Darren.
I think he's trying to take the pressure off the players. because I still think it's doable. There are enough games. We said right at the start of the show, didn't we? There are 9 games left. There are European matches in midweek. Who knows what could happen? I think that he is trying to take the pressure off the players by saying, look, we've got to focus on the other competition. They are Arsenal Football Club. This is Liverpool Football Club. They should be going for all of the big trophies.
So Liverpool, I agree with Karen in terms of Arsenal have got a better chance to win the Europa League than finish top 4. What's Liverpool's best chance for Champions League? Top 4 or winning the Champions League? Real Madrid, I watched them in the last round. They ain't convincing at all.
No, I agree.
What would you...
I think they've got an equal chance.
Because their squad and injuries haven't got... I mean, Liverpool's squad isn't...
At least they've got Jota back. That's a
they've got
positive.
Jota back, but it's not the squad which...
No, I agree.
Has been. So could this be Arsenal's weaker team against Liverpool's weaker team, with both managers focusing on the midweeks?
No, I think he'll play a strong side against Arsenal. I think we've seen it already. He plays strong sides in the league and in the Champions League. I think he'll play a strong side. I think they'll win. They've won each of their last 2. The confidence appears to be coming back in the Liverpool team. I think Arsenal are a mess. I don't mean to be, I'd say that disrespectful. I've just set out the reasons why I think that they've got problems. But I just think at a very basic level, they can't keep clean sheets. They can't defend. And I think Liverpool are better, which isn't saying much, but they're better defensively than Arsenal.
All right, so a Liverpool win for Darren then. We've seen 166 goals in this fixture in history, as Robbie told us a moment ago. So do you think there's going to be a lot of goals in this one again, Karen? Which way is it going?
I think Liverpool will win it. I do. I think because I think Arsenal will just be focusing too much on the midweek game, more so than Liverpool.
All right, we'll see Robbie's prediction for this one very shortly. Time now to take a look at the next match.
Big one.
It is a big one for both sides, Newcastle and Tottenham. Let's hear from both managers, Steve Bruce and Jose Mourinho.